And welcome to the Signature Show on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT. My name is Mwabuzi Njoko, and the week after, what is the mood of the nation and what are the political parties saying? This Sunday, we speak with the umbrella body of the political parties in Nigeria, the Inter-Party Advisory Council. How do we remove rancor and still hold the process accountable? Also this Sunday, do the winners feel a sense of deserved victory or are they conscience-stricken? Plus, the history of presidential election litigation in Nigeria. A lawyer looks into his crystal ball. Just stay with us. Now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party say the February 25th presidential election was an insult to Nigerians and a disgrace to all the effort and promises made toward the election. But the Labour Party seems to be the party Nigerians think is most hurt. My colleague Nasir Usman spoke with the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yabagi Sani, on any real pointers Labour Party being rigged out and the bomb, if any, to a hurting nation.
The 2023 election, the presidential election, well, it's food for thought in the sense that the excitement that greeted the introduction of the technologies, especially the aspect of immediate transmission of the results from the polling unit to the server, INEC server, became like an anticlimax on the day of the election itself. INEC needs to do a lot more to rekindle the confidence of the voters in the system. People came to this election with a lot of expectations. And the trust was based on that just one single aspect of it. Transmission of results from the polling units and the beavers, as the case may be. I think in totality, if that system had worked, it would have met the requirements of international standard of elections. For the interest of this country, regardless of what must have happened, we must go on and ensure that we conclude the process. Why? Because the process provides for redress. Section 65 of the Electoral Act allows INEC for the first time to review the elections within 7 days. Our nose, you have tribunals, you have the courts, isn't it? Supreme Court is there, even if you have to go that far. To now take a second look at what happened, and if they discover that something fundamental happened, if they see that there's no substantial compliance with the laws, guidelines of INEC, then they can ask for that election to be cancelled and another one conducted. But that now belongs to the courts. In my position as the IPAC National Chairman, I call on my colleagues, politicians, candidates, because I was also a candidate in this, to eschew bitterness, to take the interests of this country as first, and allow the process to take its full course, run its full course, and where necessary, we seek redress. We shouldn't allow the breakdown of law and order, because the consequences are not worth it. It's not worth that we lose even one life or destroy properties, because that has never served as the remedy. It will never serve as a remedy. The remedy is that you come back to round table, follow the due process and get, justice. Elections, not only in Nigeria, even in the so-called developed democracies like United States of America, they always have these issues of hacking, tampering, interfering by people that, out of mischief, some for some other reasons, will want to disrupt that arrangement. So some of us believe that INEC may in fact not be aware of what actually happened, meaning that it could be an attack by hackers, because the timing of it, when it failed to work, was very, very strategic. So if you ask me for my take is that we've moved on. Like the saying goes, it's a milestone. In any contest at all, there has to be winners and losers. And when it comes to the issue of democracy, you always have to look at the interests of the people, because it's about government of the people, by the people, for the people. So you will expect that people are factored in every step of the way. What role did the people play? But we all know that either we were too ambitious to have believed so much in the technology itself, or it's just that some kind of mischief that was hacked encouraged them going to court, because that will afford us opportunity of correcting the ills, what has happened, because it will be documented, isn't it? And wherever remedies are required, the remedies will be applied. So going to court is good, but I want them to, at the same time, as leaders, to advise their members not to take laws into their hands, not to destroy our own properties, not to kill anybody, not to do anything that will bring about, crisis on the land. Because once life is lost, you can't bring it back again. If you destroy properties, it's again our own commonwealth that you are destroying. So why do that? Since we know that there is a course that we can take, which will, bring about the redress. Where wrongs are taken, it can be righted. I'm sure about that. So that's my advice to both PDP and the Labour Party. In IPAC, we set up a committee to do just this, even before this time. That is to talk with ourselves as parties to ensure that whoever wins, this winner takes all syndrome does not work well for Nigeria. What we're advising Mr. President-elect to do is to do inclusivity, regardless of the party. He should carry IPAC along, because we believe that whatever is going to be done, if other parties sees that they have a role to play and they have a stake, the tension will be doused, considerably, because it's about governance, isn't it? It's about role that one is assigned to play. So if the president-elect, like he has said, and he has no choice really, because winner takes all syndrome will only further compound the problems for them, and they cannot govern. But for this government to take off effectively, and peacefully, they need to now, form a cabinet of all the parties to a very large extent. Let's have reflection of realization of the fact that this country belongs to all of us, regardless of who wins the election.
This is the Signature Show on AIT before the February 25 presidential elections. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood, made out the media as a lying lot.
On this note, let me seize this opportunity to respond to a story emanating from a section of the media that the Commission has decided to jettison the uploading of polling unit level results in real time on election day. It should please be disregarded as fake news. The Commission will upload polling unit level results, and citizens will have access to those results in real time as we upload to the polling units. This innovation was introduced by the Commission. The Commission cannot turn around and undermine itself. So this technology has come to stay. We'll upload polling unit level results from the polling unit. Citizens will have the right to view these results. After all, who are we serving? The citizens. How can we deprive citizens from access to the results of the process conducted by them at the level of polling units?
Nigerians went to the bank with his promise and seemed to have got this.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Now, how do the winners feel, and can INEC be said to have redeemed the hopes it raised or dashed it? My colleague Marvelous Obumano spoke with both the APC and Labour Party. Please stay with us.
Honorable, let me welcome you to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see your face again.
Good to see you again.
Well, the much anticipated presidential election has come and gone, and a winner has emerged, talking about the APC presidential candidate, who is now the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But since after that Saturday election, other political parties that contested for that presidential election have been vocal that the election was rigged. In fact, more especially, the Labour Party has been speaking that they were massively rigged out of the election they were supposed to have won. Why is your party making such statement?
It's unfortunate what happened on Saturday. The truth is that Nigerians are not happy. It's not about Labour Party, it's about Nigerians. Nigerians are not happy at the moment because the system itself failed the people. We're not even talking about the winner now. We're talking about the system that produced the winner. The system that has promised Nigeria to produce a president has failed the people. When I use the word system, I mean the institution called INEC. All of us were in the race. We campaigned. We toured around the country. We told Nigerians what we have to offer. And Nigerians believed in us. And we all got prepared for the election day. INEC, the umpire that supervised the process, promised Nigerians that they will give us free, fair, credible, and transparent election with the new Electoral Act signed in 2022 by Mr. President. And Mr. President himself has also come out to assure Nigerians before the election that he wants to leave a legacy of free, fair, and transparent election. I think those are the words that boosted Nigerians from the days of registering for PVCs. I can tell you two things that boosted Nigerians to register for their PVC and got prepared for the election. Number one is the new Electoral Act. Number two is the emergence of Peter Obi in Labour Party. These are the two critical things that made Nigerians sometime last year to prepare to vote. Because the new Electoral Act made it clear that the election at the polling unit, when you cast your vote, the beavers will accredit you, you will get accredited, you wait, get the ballot papers, go cast your vote, wait. After the casting of the votes, it will be counted. It will be written down at in the result sheet, and the beavers will capture it and upload it right there.
And it will be signed by the whole.
And it will be signed by all the political agents. Yes. Now, the national chairman of INEC has re-echoed this over and over. One of the officers, Festus Okoye, I remember one of the last time I came to your show, the next person you interviewed was Festus Okoye. I could vividly remember that my last appearance in your show,
yes.
He was the next person you interviewed. Yes. And in that same interview, he re-echoed that election will be transmitted at the polling unit. Now, these are the promises that INEC made.
So what are your party challenging in this election?
What we are challenging is the process that produced who they announced that is the winner. Is the process. We don't have problem. Listen, what people don't understand is that we don't have problem with the winner, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We do not have problem with him. If the process was clearly fair enough and Tinubu wins, I personally will congratulate him. But in a situation whereby you changed the goalpost in the middle of the game, that is robbery, that is fraud. It's totally unacceptable. No way in the world that we are prepared to go to the pitch to play the ball. Every team is ready, we prepared. And then, inside the pitch, the referee suddenly moved the goalpost and changed it right in the middle of the game. That is an obvious fraud. Whoever that wins cannot be called a winner because something happened on the process. Now, in that election, the beavers worked to upload the National Assembly election, that of the House of Reps and Senate. That's why you see people that we can call a nobody's won election. It has never happened in this country. There is a news of Okada driver Okada rider in Kaduna, won House of Reps. A bus driver in Enugu, won House of Reps. Because the beaver worked. People's vote counted. But why suddenly, for the presidential election, the beaver couldn't work to upload the result? Something is fishy somewhere. Can we be realistic sometimes?
Okay, of course, last Thursday, your presidential candidate, Peter Obi, in a press conference said he was heading to court and that he has overwhelming evidences to show that he was rigged out of that election. Are you privy to these evidences, and what do you think the chances of your party are when it gets to court?
I think we're going to court. And the evidence is meant for the court. It's not for the media anyway. So when we get to the court, we'll present our evidences because we know that we won the election. Or else, they should cancel what they announced because what they announced does not in any way reflect what people casted that day. The only way to remedy the situation is say that they cancel the election and have a new election, or they give the appropriate person that won the election his mandate.
Okay, something symbolic happened in the last election that took place on Saturday. For the very first time in the history of Nigeria, Nigerians came out en masse to vote. And most of these Nigerians were majorly the youths, because INEC promised a technology that would make it somewhat impossible to corrupt the process. And now that is why the youths came out en masse. Sure. The security agencies also promised that there will be a tight security on that election day. But you and I are also privy to the overwhelming violence that took place in that election day. And now, with this level of violence, and of course, what played out that allegedly some people are saying that INEC rigged the election, does it mean that the system has yet again failed Nigerians? And will it affect the upcoming governorship and state house assembly elections that are coming and other elections in Nigeria?
Okay. Let me start by telling you that the same youth that got prepared to vote, most of them are, for the first time, they're casting the vote.
Yeah.
They are disappointed. Now, what happened on Saturday? Like you said, security agencies promised that there were going to be peaceful atmosphere. There are too many promises that none was kept. You all saw the violence that happened. In Lagos, people were brutalized. Thugs took over the whole process. Police aided them to do whatever they want to do. And yet, they went ahead and announced the result. For me, it will take a bit while, or a long while, to convince Nigerian youths again. Because it appears that the promises to encourage them. I remember during the NSAS, then the leaders told the youths that, no, leave the streets. Instead of protesting on the streets, wait 2023, channel this energy to change the leaders. And they left the streets, got prepared for 2023, got registered, got their PVCs, came out to vote, and then you robbed them in broad daylight and announced someone else. And you want them to have faith in the system again? You want them to come out and vote again? Even coming to 2 weeks, barely a week from now for the governorship and House of Assembly election, I bet you will have a very poor turnout because people are angry. Nigerians are not happy. You announce a new president and it appears Nigerians are mourning. Something is wrong somewhere. Something is absolutely wrong somewhere.
Well, Honorable, let me thank you for coming for the program.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless you.
Well, this is Fatai Abiodun, the National Publicity Secretary, APC Professionals Council. You're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you here.
This is not the first time Nigeria will have electoral disputes. Okay, of course, we've had many electoral disputes in the past, but this particular time is different. It's different in the sense that INEC promised Nigerians of a technology, and that technology will allow for full transparency. That technology will make it somewhat impossible to corrupt the process.
Yes.
And in fact, that technology was what re-engineered Nigerians to come out to align themselves with the process. But all of a sudden, that technology did not work. So, can you understand the skepticism about this election?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I think we need to clear some misconceptions. What INEC promised, do they deliver? INEC delivered. There was a BVAS. Everything about INEC was tailored to the provision of the Electoral Act 2022 that was amended by, was signed by the President. That Electoral Act was the game changer of the electoral revolution in our country. Most people are always saying that we voted because we INEC assure us. The youth are always every year of election, every election running period, the youth always contribute the larger percentage of voters. So this time around, there was no exceptions. And the assurance given by the INEC, not only INEC that give the assurance, the Electoral Act is the one that gives the assurance. If the provision is not listed, is not backed by law, there's nothing INEC can do. So I'm very close that does INEC promise electoral system, electoral installation? Yes, they promise it. There was a big VAS, there wasn't like big VAS before. There was IBL Porter. It wasn't existed before. And till today, even I still keep to challenge anyone. If you discover any flop you have the meet your party agent, who are the polling unit, who signed the score sheet. Then go to IREG portal, check whether what was pronounced, what you have on your phone is not different. It's different from what you have.
Let me get something straight. When you said the technology promised by INEC worked, I try to imagine what you mean by it worked. The BVAS machine, one, is made room for anyone who wants to vote more than once. It made room that is not possible. It reduced fake names into that system. It made it impossible for we to have overvoting. That aspect of that technology worked. But the one that will show, that is ought to show an aspect that everyone was already being happy about, the aspect that once after the election has been conducted, right there at the polling unit, it will be uploaded to the IREF, the network portal of INEC, where everybody can see real time. That was promised by INEC. But did that happen?
Now, it happened. Where I voted, my polling unit in Duse, by virtue of the electoral act, after the election has been concluded, voting has been concluded, the party, the INEC official, they have the power to make announcements. After counting of votes, make announcements. After the announcement that was made in my polling unit, I went on the IREG registration. The same details were there. I get my point. So now, even because of BVAS, the almighty voting from KK State did not occur this time around. Even though Borno that delivered 2 million votes during the last election, 2019, how many votes was delivered by Borno this time around? Now, Lagos State that normally deliver million votes. How many votes?
Let's concentrate more on the technology.
Now, on the technology.
INEC itself had released a statement that there were glitches, and that was why the result was not posted on the IREF. Even as at the time of collating results, the results were not on the IREF for Nigerians to see.
Now, let me tell you something. I'm an ICT expert, how it works. INEC has more than 176,000 polling units. There is no systems that can give an access to millions, more than 10 million Nigerians want to check IREG portal. There will be collision and there will be deadlock. No systems anywhere approve that. Even though our email, Facebook, if Facebook allow everybody to be logging on their browser to check their Facebook status, Facebook will crash. That's why Facebook resorted to having a mobile app. If INEC had a mobile app whereby many people can access the portal through their other channel, I guess what point there will be no much traffic on the portal.
Is this an admittance that the election was faulty?
No, not faulty. We are not saying, it's not as if when you get it, you could not get it there. But the system cannot allow as many players to enter at the same times. As we speak, the details is still uploading. It's the system is a batching procedure. So as we speak, INEC is not telling you, sorry, you cannot get your data on our IREG portal. No, they are not telling you that. They are not saying the voting scores will not be uploaded on the IREG. They are not saying, there is no way you can put this in on the IREG.
Okay, let's push this technology, aside a bit. You are a Nigerian.
Yes.
And I know it disheartens you when you hear that, electoral officers were wounded when you saw the high level of violence that greeted this election. When you see that somebody was stabbed, when some non-state actors, came to the polling units, started shooting and, killing people. It disheartens you when such a thing happens. And now, does that mean, or does that interpret your, meaning of what a credible election is? And does your party have a full sense of deserved victory in the face of all these violences that erupted the election?
To be candid, any form of violence reported was highly regrettable and stand condemnable. At the same time, there is no perfect systems. There is no system that is 100%. When we look at where we are coming from and where we are today, we can only feed back and say, okay, well, I think we are on a path to greatness. 2019 election, case of 2015 election, many cases were, the case of a fracas were reported, but it was reduced compared to what we have now. The slashing of ballot paper is not even common any longer because people do not believe that every day you slash ballot doesn't count again, unlike before. Like I've said, the Institution of Divers and the Electoral Act Amendment 2022 was really the game changer. So nobody could send it out. There's nothing politician cannot do. They're also human beings. That is why Soren Kierkegaard, he says that human beings are influenced by self-interest and aggressive. They are probably those self-interest. Almost that is human being. So when you look at where you are coming from and where you are today, then you can just give kudos and say, wow, I can never believe it. And it gives me joy that even the sitting president can lose election in a free and fair manner in his own state. It has never occurred before. A party chairman of the ruling party lost his polling units, lost his local government, lost his ward. Even though the Lagos State, the state of the presidential candidate of the APC himself also lost the election. It has never occurred before. DG of the APC lost the election. In fact, those all stakeholders, Governor El-Rufai, also lost the states to the APC. Even not because of the credibility of the systems. How best, what yardstick, what formula, what gauge can one use to justify that the election is free and fair?
All right, finally, of course, you know, the mood of the country as it is today is not palatable. Some people have begun protesting in the streets. And of course, your candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has said he wants to heal the country. He wants to bring people together for peace to reign. How does he want to do this?
Anybody that understand or know able to work with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we know that they always stand for what's unity about Nigeria. Everything about the man is about unity of Nigeria. When you rule as a government in Lagos State, we have Hausa, Northern Land, we have Igbo as a commissioner. Not us, not just an essay. Until today, you see the fact that Igbos have a very large interest in Lagos politics. So if there's anybody that you know that is a unifier, that unify this country and correct all wrongs, I repeat, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will correct all wrongs. That is why even during the electionary process, no party officials campaigning by APC. All we are saying is that give us the vote for Asiwaju Tinubu so I can correct every wrongs. He knows what is happening. So he's not a novice. And he's an expert. In fact, for me, it's just a remaining last batch of God sent that God has blessed on Nigeria for him to heal and for us to move forward. Nobody will say righteous, nobody will feel not included. As well as to do, relies on all-inclusive governance.
Yeah, Fatai, let me thank you for joining the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, sir. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Now, the refrain since the election results were announced by INEC has been, go to court. Current President Muhammadu Buhari has enough experience with Nigerian courts to warrant many Nigerians to doubt if Nigerian courts have either the integrity or the capacity to resolve contentious political cases. Will this be any different? Again, Marvelous Obomanu spoke with a senior advocate of Nigeria, Jibrin Okutepa. Stay with us.
Let me welcome you to the conversation.
Thank you.
It's good to have you join me in the program again. You see, the presidential election has come and gone, and Nigerians went into that election with high expectation. High expectation in the sense that the electoral umpire promised that the process was going to be free, fair, credible, and corrupt-free. And of course, with the coming of the Electoral Act, which empowers the electoral umpire to deploy technology, Nigerians were more confident that the process would work. Now, with what played out during the presidential and National Assembly election, it seems that the hope of many Nigerians were dashed away. What do you think?
Not just that their hope were dashed, their moral had been dealt a very fatal blow. The expectations of Nigerians were that the institutions called INEC, given the assurances he had given to Nigerians prior to the 25th February presidential election, that institution had become born again, had become independent in the real sense of the word,
and that it was going to mark actions with its words when it kept assuring Nigerians by no less personality than its national chairman and its national commissioner on publicity about the deployment of technology called BEVA at the polling units. The assurances was that when elections are done at the polling units and results are declared, the presiding officer of the polling stations will then scan the raw results as found, as declared in the polling unit, and then scan it into the BEVA machine to be transmitted to the INEC election result viewing center portal, whatever they call it, IRIVF. So those were the assurances upon which millions of Nigerians relied on to go to the polling units unprepared for violence, because nobody expected that it was going to be tug of war, or it was going to be an environment that was going to be militarized by thuggery and thugs and connivance of few security operatives. It was with that joy of assurances from INEC that people got to the polling units.
Including the security agencies.
Including the security agencies, who went to the place with full assurance that all is well. So nobody prepared for an abnormality. Nobody prepared for eventualities. Nobody prepared for the emergencies of the other side of political gangsterism. So we went there, and then lo and behold, Nigerians were disappointed. Yes, they came out in millions, cast their votes. Votes were counted in certain places where political actors allow voting to take place, where political actors knew that they were going to lose, and woefully, and that the status quo was going to be demolished and dismantled in a democratic, to borrow the word of K.O. Mbadiwe of blessed memory, in accord concordia. They came to do what they know how to do best in their brutish and forceful manner, began to cause chaos. Gunshots were heard, machete were used. In some places, deaths were recorded. In other places, results as freely given at the various polling units were eventually changed in favor of preferred candidates, not in favor of those that Nigerians wanted to send to the various institutions of governance.
Now, most of the political parties, about 18 political parties that participated in this presidential election, some of them have said they are going to court. In fact, Labour Party has actually gone to court as I'm talking to you now. You understand how post-electoral litigations happen in Nigeria. You've monitored how it happens, you've monitored the process. But this time is different. You understand the mood of the country as it is today. Most Nigerians who feel that, the process did not arrive the way it ought to. Some of them have gone to the streets, some are protesting already. So this time is different. They feel, or they think the process and the system have failed them. And they are hoping that the judiciary will restore back that hope. Do you think it will play out once this process begins?
That's the hope of everyone. The judiciary, in a normal climb, in a society where sanity holds sway, where respect for law and order holds sway, where independence of the judiciary is sacrosanct, that is where people should go. And that's where people are encouraged to go. But as to whether or not the Nigerian judiciary will be able, at this time around, to hold his head high and restore hope to Nigerian people is a kettle of fish altogether.
Okay, let's dwell more on this act. I think there is something you need to clarify more. Section 38 of this act says that INEC must conduct the election with the provisions of the act. Now in section 60, paragraph 2, talks about that INEC may discretionarily use technology if they want. But they have promised that they were going to use technology.
I'm not too sure about the word may that you have quoted. I have not read that section. But what I know is that the Electoral Act had set out the processes to follow in the conduct of election. And I do know that in certain provisions of that act, because I'm not holding my hair.
Okay, let me read out to you something. Section 60, subsection 5 says, the presiding officer shall transfer the results, including the total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballot in a manner as prescribed by the commission.
Not may, shall do it in a manner prescribed by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
So the commission did infract the law?
Just wait. INEC is not a creation of Electoral Act. It's a creation of the Constitution. Yeah. Section 153 of the Nigerian Constitution, read together with Section 160 of the same Constitution, clearly established INEC and gives INEC power to make rules and regulations. These provisions of the Electoral Act, you have also said, say the transmission of result shall be in accordance with the guidelines as issued by INEC. Pursuant to the constitutional provisions and the Electoral Act, INEC issue what it calls Election Manual 2022. Go to look at paragraph 38 of that INEC manual. It prescribed step by step to be taken in the polling unit and how results of election as declared at the polling unit are to be transmitted and collated and sent to a collation center. First, you don't take the result from that place without first of all having it scanned into the Beaver machine, in which case you then send it to INEC viewing portal that you and I and every other Nigerians of reasonable technological understanding and knowledge will go there and see that in polling unit AIT1, 200 voters voted for Marvelous of AIT party, while 100 Nigerians of Okutepa party voted for Mr. Okutepa. And that result will be with your agent and my agents. And then Nigerians who were there, who listened to these declarations, will then go to INEC portal to see that what was declared by the presiding officer corresponds with what is posted in the INEC server with what the agents are carrying. But the experience we have seen are that what is uploaded of scanned and put there are either mutilated, cancelled, or results of other states of the federation finds their way to another state. Mark you that Nigerian is a federation with distinct states and distinct polling unit codes. The polling unit codes are not of the same numbers. Neither do you have the same polling unit in Lagos as you have in Zamfara, or you have in Sokoto, or you have in Imo, or you have in Jigawa State. So where a result of a polling unit in Lafia, therefore, for instance, finds its way to be uploaded in INEC portal in an election in Zamfara, then it put a question mark. Number two, let me say that election starts with accreditation, and the results at the polling units are the foundations upon which every other election's results are built. In other words, the Supreme Court said that polling unit results are the pyramids upon which every other election are going to be based. Therefore, when you parade results of overall results as winners of election, you must demonstrate that indeed those results are true reflections of the results from the polling units. So when the lawmaker therefore insisted that INEC should have a guideline, and the INEC taking that opportunity of the provisions of the law and the Constitution to dish out its 2022 electoral guideline, and included therefore paragraph 38 of that guideline that sets out the Bible of how this thing are to be done, and INEC then, in total disobedience to what it issues itself, under no compulsion, under no superintendencies of anybody, and began to breach it in the middle of the march, then can you in clear conscience and as a person given to understanding the philosophical basis of foundation say that the election that was result that was declared on the basis of a faulty foundation is a result of election? So that is why Nigerians are saying, INEC, what is the problem with you? They say it was technical glitch that happened, or technical hitches that happened.
Well, let me ask you something. If all these things you've really reeled out were what is supposed to be, and INEC went ahead to announce these results on these illegalities, could it be that they were under pressure?
They are the only one to answer. Who put them under pressure? And is there any society that people will not be under pressure? That is why I've always advocated that to be trusted with public responsibility, those officers must have strength of character. It's not the first time that people are under pressure anywhere. There is no one that is not under pressure. Are you not even in environmental pressure in Nigeria? But you must resist it. Even in the ecclesiastical world, people are under pressure to do wrong thing. But it is your strength of character that will make the difference. So, if you permit me the use of this ecclesiastical word, was Joseph a house help in the Bible, not under pressure from Potiphar's wife? But he ran away, and he ended up even in prison from where he came to become prime minister in a foreign land. Not to talk about corrupt, infested society like Nigeria. Are you as a journalist not under pressure sometimes?
Talking about strength of character. The judiciary has been accused of, lacking that strength of character in most of their cases they have, passed. In 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, was in the court because of the irregularities that happened in that
2019?
election. Yes, 2019 election with Atiku Abubakar.
Yes.
And of course, you saw what played out in Imo State during making Ihediola and Hope Uzodinma. And Hope Uzodinma was brought back after 6 months that Ihediola was in the helm of affairs as the governor of Imo State. Now the question is, are we going to have enormous trust that the judiciary will do what it's supposed to do?
Your duty as journalist is also to investigate. Your duty also is not limited to when there are sensational decisions, you come to disturb us. Have we carried out sufficient investigations to find out about the process of recruitment to our bench? You have read a lot of things being said. I must admit that there are some judicial officers that are bold, that have the courage, but what is their percentage? And where do you find them? And who is using them? How are they being used? So, who determines a judicial officer to go on a national assignment? So, you will think that the judiciary are angels in Nigerian environment. No, I'm not thinking that they are. But again, it's a difficult question for me to answer publicly like this, because there is a general perception which their lordships and all of us in the legal profession must admit, of a low level of courage on the part of our judiciary. The people talk about the judiciary not being independent, and there are numerous factors responsible for this lack of independence. The judiciary, for instance, can back but cannot bite in the strict sense of the word, because if he gives order, the responsibility of execution is on the executive. And when the executive decide to treat the orders of the court with levity, their lordships are also human. They will begin to think that even if we give the order, we will obey.
Well, thank you so much. I really want to say thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you, Marvelous.
Thank you.
And now to our thank you for this Sunday. Now, in times like this, we can only want peace. And so here is Elegant Stallion Onyeka Onwenu asking for peace in our hearts and peace in our homes.
Let it rain everywhere.
And that's our program for this Sunday. My name is Mwaboze Njoko. Good afternoon.